Welcome. I'm coming to this moment, this inquiry, this breath that is like in some ways takes my breath away because it can be really, really difficult. When we tangle up our need to be understood with a community that we have, particularly if it's the only group that we define as our community. Sometimes we'll have two community, one that understands us and the other that doesn't. And oh gosh, when one of my community gets me and the other doesn't, I until I can come to a deeper understanding, I dwell in the beauty of the community that understands me until I can understand myself more deeply. This is what it feels like to belong when I'm with this community. This is what it feels like to belong to this community. And then in the other hand, I have to hold. In the other hand, I have to hold. And this is what it feels like when my need for understanding is not met by this other community. There we go. Thank you. And let me just go back to that. So, and I think I'm gonna repeat it. When my need for understanding is not being met by like apparently my entire community, I'll either find one person, it may be a cat in that community, that does understand me, that I do feel a sense of belonging with, or ideally a whole other community, and focus on that until I can bear that feeling of being ousted from the tribe. It's such a human feeling. That's why I can give myself a lot of grace for it. When I have that happen, it's so human to need to belong. And it comes up sometimes that I'm going to be kicked out. And it's a very, very old feeling in my body. I think it probably goes back to the beginning of like my ancestors. That if I didn't belong to this community, I would die, because it feels a little bit like I'm going to die when my need for understanding, my need for belonging, gets tangled up in whether this community sees me, gets me, understands me or not. It's like a panic. And to when I feel that panic is to hold myself like I can hug myself and I could go, oh my God, there you go again, honey. You're letting other people identify who you are. You're letting other people define you by one thing that you did or one choice that you made. And they don't understand the causes and conditions. They don't understand the causes and conditions. This is me talking to myself. They don't get that you had to do this. This is like the first time I felt authentic in my life, maybe. And there's another community that gets me, And then there's one community that I might have to wait a long time for any of them to understand. And since personally, I have the sense of, well, I'll have another lifetime. I have, I don't need them to define me. I don't need them to accept me. It would be nice, but ultimately they have not gotten to the point that I have, that I can be with that achiness, with understanding them, understanding that they're doing the best, and not even having to vocalize that to them, just understanding they're doing the best with the causes and conditions that they have. They don't have NVC, they don't have maybe Christianity, they don't have Buddhism, they don't have 12 steps. If it's that community that I'm talking about, they don't have that. And maybe someday they will, but right now I have no control over other human beings. I only can understand myself deeply as I dwell in my need for understanding by really giving myself, as I remember I'm really into like feeling in my body that I belong, I am loved. Not as an affirmation, just an exploration. Can I put myself in this position, and can I just glimpse the possibility that I am loved in this moment by myself enough that I can get through the day. Enough that when I have that feeling again, like I'm going to die because they're never going to get me, or whatever thoughts, whatever story it is, I don't need to make up stories. I think it's a common humanity. It's a common thing that humans go through. And the paradox is it's common and it feels different in everybody. Everybody's path is different. And the way I feel is affected by how other people feel. And that's a paradox. And it's hard for the brain to understand. We really have to experience that, oh yeah, my experience in the world is different from them. Of course it is. I have a different body. I have a different childhood. I have a different siblings than them. I listened to different music than them when I was growing up. I ate different foods. Of course, I'm going to have slightly different experiences. And keep on coming back to yourself. I remember one person in this group, probably the oldest one, says, God, when I listen to your voice, I can feel it. And that's okay. You can listen to my voice again. There's only about I don't know, there might be 1 billion YouTube videos that I have, but it's probably not that many. It seems like 1 billion. Just come back to yourself and say, having the need to understand and belong is a beautiful thing, and I'm not alone. I feel so lonely in this thought, and the paradox is that I'm not alone. To let that into my heart, let that into my breath, and to stay with that. And when we feel resourced enough, and it may not be now, We can walk down the street and we can look at other. I'll start with my loved one. You're not alone. They know that they're not alone. I can wish them the wider community. Sometimes I wish they had more friends. And ultimately, they know that they're not alone. And it's not up to me to create more friends for them. And I can walk the dog and I can look at people saying, yeah, sometimes I feel lonely. And I bet that sometimes you feel lonely too, and they're perfect strangers. And I wish you peace. I wish you blessings. So that's the neutral people. I wish you have the sense that you're not identified by what people think about you or them getting who you are. It's an inside job, and sometimes it doesn't feel like an inside job. And for all the world leaders that might feel lonely, I don't have to understand all the causes and conditions that made you who you are. Your favorite food when you were 8 years old. I don't need to understand all that. All I know is that you have this same need that I do, and it just is often manifesting in tragic ways, very, very painful ways. And I can wish you the sense of belonging, the sense of being loved, whether you actually can touch it in this lifetime or not. Thank you. So may all beings benefit from this practice, one breath at a time.